I'm sorry, I'll keep it short. I just couldn't help myself. It's been playing on my mind, the Declan Rice offer, if you like. I do believe in his offer. I do believe we have offered him the money, and I do believe that he's not interested at all. But the more I think about it, the more I think of additional things, really. Looking at the top players, and I looked at what the top players are earning, and I'm not just talking about Ronaldo here. I'm not just talking about Kevin De Bruyne, who's signing for £370,000 a week, something like that. It's actually the people around the periphery of that number. So, for instance, let's say Declan Rice were to sign for Manchester City. Now, Declan would probably go for a similar fee. West Ham would hope more, but a similar fee to Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish earns an awful lot of money. Even somebody like Thomas Partey at Arsenal, and who there's no doubt about it, Declan Rice would see himself as a superior player to Thomas Partey. So clearly, Declan would want more money than him, or certainly would feel that he could earn more money than him. And when I look at it, I just think this was never ever going to happen. And the cynic in me, as I mentioned when I did the video with Gio, because Gio caught me unawares with that. I didn't know. It was brand new, fresh news to Gio, by the way. I hadn't really sort of processed what had gone on in my mind. But actually, when I look at the bid, I do think that there was a certain amount of... It's not virtue signalling, is it? It's a bit like... I'm talking about the offer here and making the offer public. Making the offer public was... It's a bit like the WWE, if you watch the wrestling, and they run into the ring and they hit each other with chairs and they do all this sort of stuff. But before they do that, there's a load of talks. The music plays, the pyrotechnics go off on the stage and they walk up and they got a microphone and they tell everybody what they're going to do and why they're the best and why they're going to be the tag team champion or whatever they do. They say a load of stuff, probably a lot better than I've just said it. But ultimately, it doesn't sort of mean an awful lot. They'll huff and they'll puff. A few people will fall over. Someone will climb up to the top rope and jump off. And basically, the result will be whatever the result was going to be. The referee, umpire, whatever they are, will hit the canvas 3 times and it's all over. But the bit at the start, I think a lot of people pay a lot of attention to that. And it's trash talk, isn't it? I think I saw this offer as a bit of trash talk. Particularly the fact that it was given us some big exclusive on Talk Sport. And as I mentioned to Gio in the chat, I don't think we needed to virtue signal. I think as fans we understand that we're probably not going to be able to afford to keep hold of Declan Rice. And the benefit I've got now, that I didn't have when I recorded that video with Gio, is I've listened to the Talk Sport thing. And I think Simon Jordan had it absolutely spot on, which was why would he sign that? Why would he sign that deal? And then when I started looking at the top 30 earners in the league, I thought, actually, even if he does sign that, there's no scope for him to earn more. Forget inflation. Inflation doesn't matter at all for reasons I mentioned in this morning's video. I just don't think it matters. I think what Declan Rice would want, if he were to sign a new deal, would be the opportunity to then take that £200,000 a week and at some point earn £300,000 to £400,000 a week, because that's what the top players are earning. I mean, even 5 years ago, Alexis Sanchez, remember him, was earning £500,000 a week. Because whether you like it or whether you don't, £200,000 a week, and it is crude and obscene money. And I don't think Declan's overly money motivated, by the way. It's not what the top players get paid. It just ain't. It don't matter if you're Thiago. I understand he signed on a nominal fee or a free when he signed for Liverpool, or Virgil van Dijk, or Jack Grealish, as we've already mentioned, Raheem Sterling. The list is quite extensive, and I looked at it, and there's a few on there that you wouldn't necessarily think. They all earn more money than Declan Rice would be offered. And he would still be, if he was amongst his peers, the poor relation amongst them. And I don't think he needs to be. I think with Declan, you're looking at one of the top players in Europe. He's pretty much been, and statistics, almost couldn't say statistics then, would bear this out, that he was one of the best players, certainly at the point going into the Frankfurt game, statistically he was the best player in the Europa League. That's a real European pedigree player. It really is. And he's going to feel that he can earn the top dosh. Now, the top dosh is not necessarily what Mbappe would be earning, it's £1 million a week, but Messi, on his previous contract, not even this one, was on £500,000 a week. I'm not comparing Declan Rice to Messi. I'm just trying to make the point that the very, very top earn £500,000 to £1 million a week. Then your sort of 4.5-star players, like whatever, Kevin De Bruyne, that sort of thing, will earn sort of nearly £400,000 a week. Declan Rice at £200,000 a week is low. It's hard to call that sort of money, which over the length of the contract would have yielded him 85 million. A low ball offer. 85 million is not low balling anyone. It's really not. And it's probably the extent of what West Ham can offer. But the fact of the matter is it comes down to ambition, as I mentioned to Gio again yesterday. When I'd said that actually the ambition is more important, you look at where West Ham are. West Ham have done remarkably well. Semi-finals of the Europa League, brilliant. Qualifying for the Europa League, brilliant. And to be in contention to do so, back-to-back seasons of qualifying for Europe is amazing. For West Ham, it's fantastic. Unfortunately, as fun as it is the secondary competition in Europe. It's not the top level, it's not the elite level. Declan Rice sees himself as elite. The elite level, of course, is the Champions League, and the elite level is, well, I guess contesting the Premier League. Now, he's not going to get either of those things at Manchester United, but just forget that for a second, because there are other options, as I mentioned in my video earlier. And I think, bearing in mind it's not the elite level, then it really boils down to ambition. So what you're really asking Declan Rice to do is, can you stay at a club that's not elite level for wages that are not elite level? That's what it boils down to. Now, in recent transfer windows, we've been linked with a few players. We're not going to get Declan Rice to sign an 8-year deal with a 10-year option. It just signs his life away. He's not going to do that. What we might get Declan Rice to do, so he's got technically, with the option, he's got 3 years left on his contract. We might get him to tear that up and replace that with a 4-year contract. But for that to happen, I think two things have to happen. Number one, we'd have to put a sell in as a buyout clause, which was, I guess, reasonable, that Declan didn't feel was prohibitive, that would put other clubs off. So it's no good putting a buyout clause in as 200 million, no one's going to pay it. Probably 100 million, something like that, where Declan would feel that the club was looked after. But also he would feel that he had enough chance of getting out, basically. So I think that's the first thing. So I think there is a contract there, but that contract looks nothing like what's been offered to him. I think it would have to incrementally go up each season, not in line with inflation. I think it would perhaps start at 200 grand a week, and then season 2 it'd be 225 grand a week. Season 3, 250. You get the idea. Is that a bit rich for us? It may well be, and as I say, I think there's an understanding amongst the fan base that actually we get it. We know we can't probably afford to hold on to Declan Rice. The other thing, and this is what I was saying about transfer windows, is the ambition. And here's where it is. This is where we need to see the colour of the owner's money. I don't think there's money to come from Gold and Sullivan. I think the Kretinsky money was about paying their debts back. And it looks like, as I mentioned, I spoke to Gio in the video about the Birmingham City takeover and about David Sullivan's role in it. I said that I think that news is broken today and has been confirmed on that anyway. But so without repeating what I said yesterday, there is a little indicator that maybe David Sullivan's sights are set elsewhere. So it's really what's the spending power behind Kretinsky. So it's all very well showing ambition in wages. That's great. But what we really need to do is show ambition in transfer fees. I'm going to chuck 3 names at you now. In fact, I'm going to do 4, because one of them's a freebie. Jesse Lingard, Raphinha, Ollie Watkins, because when I did the video the other day, I said, which one of those would you prefer? Most of you said Ollie Watkins. I think Breuer was second, Nunes was third. I think that was the order in which, having read through all the comments. So let's go with that. So let's go with Ollie Watkins there. And Calvin Phillips. Now, I pick these players because they're not Ronaldo. All right? West Ham are unlikely. We're just not going to go and get Raheem Sterling. Raheem Sterling's available from Man City, as I understand it. West Ham aren't going to get him. When I say realistic targets, I mean targets that are not at big clubs. You could even throw Richarlison if you want. But, however, they're good players. But also they're international players. So if what West Ham wants to do is keep Declan Rice and keep Declan Rice interested, sign Raphinha, Brazilian international. Sign Ollie Watkins, England international. Sign Calvin Phillips England international, of course. I don't know why I haven't thought about that. And sign Jesse Lingard on a free, England international. You sign those players. If Declan Rice looks, I know we need others, but just bear with me for this, all right? Sign those players. If Declan Rice has looks, he sees Raphinha coming in and walking hand in hand. Probably wouldn't be hand in hand, probably arm in arm. They probably wouldn't be touching at all. But I see him walking into the club, Raphinha and Calvin Phillips with Ollie Watkins, and then Jesse Lingard. I bet you that rather than 200 grand would have Declan Rice thinking, hold on, I don't mind seeing this out for another couple of seasons, seeing what happens. That's the ambition. That's what gets Declan Rice to sign. What probably won't happen is offering him 200 grand, and I don't mean this to demean those players, because these players might be good players, but they're not going to get Declan Rice to sign. But what Declan Rice doesn't need is a contract offer for £200,000 a week, and then to look through the revolving doors at West Ham and see Lewis Potter and Joe Worrell walk in. You've got to go for the big ones.